George, how do you feel about this team in their upcoming season?
I love that they just completely changed everything. Like, they revamped. You have to start with not who they drafted, not who they acquired, not who they traded for, but putting Trajan Langdon as a new president of basketball operations. They haven't had anyone in this role since 2018, I believe. So the Pistons ownership stood up and go, it sucks. We need someone at the highest point to hold everyone accountable. This is a guy scout for the Spurs, assistant GM of the Nets, was a general manager of the Pelicans. And obviously what he did well when he was with the Pels is getting a Trey Murphy over Herb Jones. He has that eye for an elite wing. That's what every NBA team does. But also, he's built a roster where he was able to keep them afloat with a superstar that was never showing up for the team in Zion Williamson. So I actually really like the Trajan Langdon hire. They had to do something different. We'll see what he can do with Detroit. But they have the base there. Like, they have Cade Cunningham. You have a guy that is all-star caliber. Can he stay healthy? But it's important to get someone to lead. And then, of course, hiring JB Bickerstaff, coming off never having Mitchell, Garland on the floor at the same time with Mobley and just so much turmoil. And again, Donovan Mitchell, who started to hate JB Bickerstaff. I'm not going to hold that against JB. The NBA today is so fickle and it's so fragile of what relationships can be. So at the leadership roles, which you need with the team coming off 14 wins, bro, they mean business. You fire Monty Williams, you still owe him $65 million. You bring in Bickerstaff and Langdon. This is huge for them to start.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I wanted to note that as well. I think JB Bickerstaff is a good coach. I was saying that last year throughout the playoffs. I think he got kind of a bad rap because he didn't agree with his superstar. And that happens, you know what I mean? Two people who are that competitive and want to win and have their way that they want to win are going to come to disagreements at some point. And it wasn't a thing of JB being a bad coach. It's one of those things that happens in the NBA, in the NFL, any professional sport where the coach is there for a long time and people get tired of hearing the same voice when you don't win. And it's not his fault that they didn't win. They weren't healthy. They didn't have the talent to be the best team in the East and get an opportunity to be in the finals. The Celtics team was just that much better. Anybody that was going to face them was going to get steamrolled, as they did, as we saw throughout the entire playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So I think JB is the right guy for this team because this young team needs development. And I think he's done a great job of developing the young guys that he's been a part of with Evan Mobley, with DG. You know what I mean? Even though Jared Allen wasn't a young guy, he's become a better player since transitioning from Brooklyn over to Cleveland. So I think JB has done a great job with those type of players. And I think he's going to do a great job with the new players that he has now in Detroit. Do you like any of their other offseason moves?
I mean, they fit this team out with a lot of vets. And even a guy that's younger, like a Malik Beasley. He played 79 games for the Bucks. He's entering his 9th season in the NBA. You bring Tobias Harrison. People in Philly will have their opinion on him. Good shooter, respected vet around the league. Again, establish that culture. They got B-Ball Paul from Philly too. Tough rebounder, a guy to hold it down in the front court and teach a young star like Jaren Duran how to play. They moved on from James Wiseman. They kept Duran. All these lottery picks. And they're bringing in Tim Hardaway Jr., coming off a finals appearance. Good shooter. Now, can you get a guy like Cade Cunningham? Can you keep him healthy? And just show the rest of this roster how to play? They're going to increase by maybe 10, 12, 15 wins this season, which will still be like sub 30, but it's going to be important because this is a team, this is a franchise that has been so low and so bad for so damn long. The NBA and sports is better off when Detroit is relevant because we see how passionate that fan base is. Let's make the Pistons a good team. Let's get them back into the spotlight. They hired the right guy to run the front office. They hired a good coach to get this young team to lock in. They have that all-star in Cade Cunningham, and they're putting the pieces around him. I do like it, Tay.
Yeah, I like it as well. What I like about their offseason is bringing in Malik Beasley, bringing in Tobias Harris, drafting Ron Holland shows me that they knew how bad they were on the defensive end last year, and they want to change that identity, and that was their main 3 guys that they went and acquired. Obviously, Tim Hardaway Jr. was also acquired, and he does give energy on defense, but he's a little undersized for guarding wings in the NBA, but he is locked in on defense as well. He's not a bad defender, but he's not a great one either. The thing about it is they paired that up with JB Bickerstaff, who is a solid defensive coach, but also a really good offensive coach as well. So they will take those guys who are mostly 3-and-D. Well, not Ron Holland. That dude can't shoot. Not yet. It's coming, but it's not going to be there in year 1.
He's going to be 19.
Right. It's not going to be there in year 1. But, with Tobias, with Malik, 3-and-D, Tim Hardaway, 3-and-D-ish kind of guards. This team has the makings of really upping their win total from 14 to whatever we think it's going to be next year. With that, I have to ask you, are there any bets that you like from this team coming up this season?
I put them right around 25 wins, and I believe FanDuel has them 24 or 25 and a half. Mm-hmm. So I'll just go over on that one because of this talent they have and the veteran leadership too. And you mentioned that Ron Holland move to draft him out of the G League Unite. Mm-hmm. This is Trajan Langdon coming in and going, I have an eye for wings. Yes, he's raw. Yes, he can't shoot, but that's the next RJ Barrett. Let's get him in now. Let's start developing him in our building. Yeah. And you get a guy like JB Bickerstaff. Oh, you don't got to worry about the defense. Just teach him your scheme. Now bring him along offensively and teach him how to do that. And the pressure won't be on Holland to shoot from the beginning because of how this roster's fitted. We'll see how much he even plays, but it's just putting these foundation blocks together. Mm-hmm. But regardless of Ron Holland effect or not, I just love the additions veteran-wise, defensively what they did, building around Cade, who's so much fun to watch at Oklahoma State. Yeah. Talking about great jerseys, I think the Pokes always have some of the best jerseys possible. Bring him to Detroit. He's been here for a minute now. Let's make him great. Yeah,
I'm with you. I think I like their win total, going over on their win total as well, and it's because of this. They remind me a lot of an Orlando team from last year. Now, they're not going to be nearly as good because they don't have a Franz Wagner as their second guy. Yeah. I'm not going to say second star, but they're definitely their second best player and a really good player. I'm going to run through their lineup really quickly. They got Cade, obviously going to be a star in this league. I'll ask you more about him in a second. Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr., Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren, who's been a great big for them. I'm really excited for him as well. Marcus Sasser, Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson, Isaiah Stewart, B-Ball Paul Reed, and then Ron Holland coming off the bench. And they have a couple other guys. When I look at that list of guys, there's not a guy on that team that I look at and I'm like, this dude is not a good NBA player.
Yeah.
Or can't be a good NBA player. You know what I'm saying? So they have a lot of good, budding, young talent on this team. And so I'm super excited for them. And I think that they're really going to push past, what did you say it was, 24 and a half? That's going to be probably light work. I'm probably going to say like 27 to 29 is the win total that I have for them in my head personally right now. Now, going back to Cade Cunningham, do you think this is a year where we could finally get a full season of Cade Cunningham and he could become an NBA All-Star?
Full season, I mean, we haven't seen him play more than 65 games yet. Mm-hmm. But when he's showing up for his team and when he's suiting up, I mean, that's a guy that scored more and more from his rookie season. Now he's coming off like averaging 23 a night. Yes. I think so. And I think it's because of the support around him. Mm-hmm. Keep him healthy. And, like, can we see another step forward from Jaden Ivey, too? Yeah. I mean, this is a kid that was so special in college. We know he's a son of a basketball coach with his mom being one of the best basketball coaches in all of college hoops. Like, we know the potential's there. We saw the explosiveness when he was at Purdue. Yep. And he kind of got relegated to the bench and just inconsistent with Monty Williams. I hope JB Bickerstaff comes in, breathes life back into him, gets Jaden Ivey back on track. And it's so tender how you bring along these younger guys. Like, we saw what happened with Wiseman in Golden State. We saw the same thing with Jonathan Kuminga when it's up and down. Like, we don't know what's happening there. Give Jaden Ivey the confidence. We know the IQ, the athleticism, the play is there. Yep. I think all of that does aid Cade Cunningham. It's just a matter of his body allowing him. Yep. If we get 70 games out of Cade, I think we get an all-star season out of Cade Cunningham. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's tough, though. I think where it goes is people have bias, right? And Tyrese Halliburton is probably the guy that I look to where I'm like, he might be the guy to replace him or Dame. And when you look at those two dudes, you're going to look and say, well, it's Dame. Who's in the playoffs?
It's Tyrese Halliburton. They're on a better team. They're a playoff team, blah, blah, blah. And that's going to make it really tough for Cade. I think he's going to be one of those guys at the end of the All-Star period or whatever, once the voting is done, that we're going to look at as a write-in for a snub. It's going to be all over about how Cade Cunningham got snubbed from the All-Star team this year.
I would love to put that mark in it right now. Bro, I can still not get over watching Pacers-Celtics playoff series with you and us the entire time going, what is Tyrese Halliburton doing? Right. I couldn't get enough of Hallie when he was with the Kings. I could not get enough of him when he first got to the Pacers, what his averages were and everything he was doing. But then you're watching him in just crucial moments when you need that smart, you need that decision-making, especially from a ball handler like him, a guy that's supposed to be a number one, and he just falters. Give me Cade over Hallie, and I'm betting on what I think Cade can become. And also for Cade to do what he's done, averaging 23 a night. Yes, on the worst team in the NBA, but averaging 23 a night in such a toxic situation to be playing in, that's why I like Cade. I think he's just been through more in a better way.
Yep, I'm right there with you. And that finishes our Detroit Pistons talk for the episode. Shout out to the Detroit Pistons, man.
Detroit Pistons!
We're
Basketball.
We're rooting for you guys, all right?